Right. So this is the planned fuel. So this is all of this is the fuel calculations. This is what we're going to use to do our fuel planning. What does everything mean? Right. So let's go ahead and look. What do you need to actually dispatch legally? The first thing we have on our list here is the trip fuel. What is trip? Trip fuel is the fuel required from the moment you press those toga buttons to get you all the way to your destination. So to fly from Stansted to Dublin, we're gonna burn 2,295 kilos. All right, that's the fuel which we're gonna basically use as soon as we press the toga and off we go. What the authorities require us to do is then also carry something called contingency fuel. Now, contingency fuel can vary depending on a lot of factors. It's not a big deal when it comes to short haul operations. So for the 737, for example, it doesn't really matter. When it comes to long haul, the long haul guys, the contingency fuel, they will do everything they can to lower it, because normally it's 5% of the trip. Now 5% could be a lot of fuel if your trip fuel is like 40 tons, then 5% is quite a lot of fuel. But for our case, it's going to be 5%, or in this case, 200 kilos, because they've rounded it up. 2295 times... Yeah, it's 114 kilos. They've rounded that up to 200 kilos, 5 minutes. So Ryanair is a little bit more conservative. They just round it up to minimum of 5 minutes. So we have our trip and we have our contingency. In ideal world, you will never use the contingency fuel, all right? Because you've already done the fuel calculations. So you're gonna burn 2295. So what is the contingency fuel used for? Well, contingency fuel is used for example, if you take off and there's some weather ahead of you, you might have to deviate left and right, up and down, and that might burn some extra fuel. The contingency fuel is used for that. Or, for example, the winds might not be perfectly as your flight plan has told you it's going to be, so you might use contingency fuel for that as well. All right, so you've done the whole flight, all right? You've taken off, you've flown to your destination, and for whatever reason, you cannot land there. Here is where the alternate fuel comes in. Alternate fuel is for you to do the whole missed approach and go all the way to your alternate airfield, which in this case is Prestwick. We have calculated that we're going to use 1,751 kilos to divert to Prestwick, and it's going to take us 41 minutes. Now, I can tell you that is overly conservative. You're not going to burn that much fuel. Yet there it is. That's what we planned with, so that's what we're going to use. So far we need our trip, our contingency, and our alternate fuel. Here is where the guys in Colombia went wrong. Here is where they screwed up big time. I mean, allegedly. All right, allegedly. I'm just going off hearsay. I'm just going off the preliminary data we're getting, all the reports, all the rumors from newspapers and so on. But here is where they screwed up big time. Final reserve. Final reserve. That's where they screwed up big time. So final reserve is half an hour, okay, of holding. It's 30 minutes. All right, half an hour, 30 minutes. 1085. 1 ton of fuel. That fuel is holy. All right? It says holy as God himself. You cannot touch that fuel no matter what. All right? That is your absolute last line of defense. You cannot use that fuel. It is untouchable. You are not to touch that fuel. It's there. I mean, if something goes horribly wrong, you do have that fuel, but you are not to plan to use it. You're not to use it. You're not to even touch it or go near it, right? That's your final reserve fuel, half an hour. They clearly they use that fuel, right? So 1085. Dancy, how you doing, man? I'm glad to see you in the stream. I've missed you, man. So half an hour fuel, do not touch that fuel. Is this also what's called emergency fuel? Yes. Yes, absolutely. This is also called emergency fuel. ATPL, like EU Ops, calls this final reserve. Is different from your reserve fuel. The reserve fuel is our alternate fuel. That's what we're going to use to divert somewhere. But the final reserve, we cannot touch. So here is an example for you. What happens if you take off? You do your whole flight, right? You do the flight, and then for whatever reason, ATC tells you to pick up a hold. All right, you pick up a hold. Now, if you've burnt all your alternate fuel, you've burnt all your contingency fuel, you're approaching the final reserve fuel. You're approaching this, your emergency fuel. What are you to do? What would you do if you're approaching that fuel? If you believe for even a second that, listen, there is no way I can land without using this fuel, what is the correct thing to do? Let's see if anybody has a good guess. You think you cannot land without using that fuel. What is your correct action? You know what? There's some really good answers here. Yeah, absolutely. So L39 says Mayday. Trex says call Mayday. Shademate calls Mayday. There are some people saying declare emergency. There are some people saying tell ATC to hurry up. All right, declare emergency. There is no such thing. This is some the Americans use that. There is no such thing. There is no such thing as we are declaring an emergency. It doesn't exist. Either you call PAN or you call Mayday. Simon, no, it's not PAN. It's not PAN, guys. The people that said Mayday are 100% correct. It is a Mayday call. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Low fuel. Mayday. That's how big of a deal this is. That's how big of a thing. Like that's how holy that damn fuel is. You're gonna call Mayday. We don't call Mayday for engine failure. You could if you wanted to, but like I would call PAN. So if you're all familiar with the phraseology here, Mayday is literally like oof, that's up there. PAN is just that you're a little bit of trouble, right? So PAN is below Mayday. I would call PAN for a simple engine failure. Simple, right? But if I were to ever go into that fuel, I'll call Mayday. That's how big of a deal that is. Right. So, then we'll have some additional reserves. Could be anything, you just add some fuel there. Nothing we need for this flight. So, all in all, this is what we need to dispatch, right? We need 5,331 kilos. That's what we need once we press the TOGA buttons. And off we go. But in fact, yeah, exactly what Latitude says. Like Mayday, like holy fuck, we're in trouble. So once we press TOGA, we need 5.3 tons of fuel. Yet we're only going to burn 2.3. All right, we're going to burn 2.3, but we have 5.3. Do you guys see how much fuel we actually have? Like, so for them to go, for them to lose all the fuel somehow, that's bad, boys. That is really bad. We're not done though. All right, we're not even done. We have something called OPM fuel. That's operational fuel. That's something Ryanair just adds just for the sake of it. They add that because of it used to be more. It used to be like 5 minutes and 10 minutes and so on. They're working their way down. That's fuel to basically make sure the flight plans are good, because we changed provider many years ago, and they've just kept the OPM fuel. It's just fuel. You don't need that. You don't need that for this patch. Then we're at our takeoff fuel. So we're gonna add the OPN, and now we're at 5.4 tons. Now I said this is what we need for to press the toga buttons, but actually we need to get all the way to runway as well. So we're gonna go ahead and add our taxi fuel. This also includes the APU burn, so we're gonna use the APU as well. So that's another 182 kilos. So in total, that's gonna bring us to 5.584. So 5.6 tons. That's what I'm gonna tell the fueler. I'm gonna tell the fueler I need 5.6 tons. In fact, this is all I'm gonna use. All right, once I press toga. So in fact, I'm gonna use this, and I'm gonna use this, the 182 and the 2295. I'm gonna ask for 5.6 tons. The fuel I'm not allowed to I can touch all of this except final reserve. All right. So pilot error could be the cause. Oh, I think most certainly it is pilot error, unless there was some kind of fuel leak or something. Like, I have no idea. Let's go ahead and look at the weather. So we're taking off from Stansted. Wind is 2903 knots, 7K, overcast at 33. It's 3 degrees. Dew point is 2. Holy crap, it's cold in Stansted today. So the QNH is 1027. The forecast has us basically all the 9 scattered at 4, and all of let's see, all of this is tomorrow. So all of this, I'm ignoring this. So for us, this is the only relevant part, because the rest is tomorrow. And how do I tell? Oh, I can see here. The first 2 digits there is the date. So it's the 2nd, which is tomorrow, at 2 a.m. until 9 a.m. There's a prob 40 tempo. And technically for fuel planning, you can ignore the prob 40 tempos. No, there is no way for the ground crew to screw up L39. So what happens is, can I show you this? Let me see if I can show you this. Before each flight, the pilots, more specifically, the captain, does a fuel uplift calculation. So I have just to show you guys, here's a cheat sheet. Focus. All right, wait. I'll just show you to. I show it to you on like Paint or something. So how do we know that the ground crew did not screw up? Well, this is how I know. Time for paint, boys. Where's my brush? Right. How do I know the ground crew did not screw up? So basically, when you land, you're gonna record how much fuel you have in the tanks. So for example, let's say we landed with 3 tons. Okay. This is the
Hail to the king, baby.
Oh. So free! Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to Team H. Thank you, man. Arrival field. Welcome to the best damn stream ever. So that's our arrival fuel. All right. Now we're gonna use, how much fuel did we say? We said we needed 5.6. All right. So we need 5.6. So we're planning to take off. Ooh, I don't like that. Take off with 5.6. 5.6 kilos. How much fuel do we need to uplift? We need to uplift, so that's 3, that's 2.6. All right, so we need to uplift 2,600 kilos, right? So what the pilot does is he calculates the uplift required, and he also calculates how many liters that is. So for Jet A1, we use a coefficient of 0.79. So all I need to do is divide that by 0.79, and I get the liters required. So the liters required is going to be, let's use my calculator, it's 3291. 3291 liters. All right. Then when the pilot, so when the fuel uplift is finished, I get a fuel receipt. And the fuel receipt will say something like 3327. Okay, this is what it says on my fuel receipt. So then I'll take that figure and I convert that to kilos. So instead of dividing by 0.79, I'll times it by 0.79. So 3327 times 0.79, that gives me 2628. So 2628, 2628 kilos. And now I compare this figure with this figure and this figure with this figure. And then I sign, right? I sign a fucking tech log. Not only do I sign a tech log, I also sign a fuel receipt. So there's no way to screw that up. There is no way to not have enough fuel. Not only that, it's also on your checklist, right? So at least the Ryanair checklist says when we get the fuel, we'll say, all right, so the pilot margin says fuel, I'll say 5,600 kilos required, 5,730 kilos on board, 4 pumps on, crossfeed closed. All right, there's no way for the ground crew to screw that up. Dancy says, speaking of fuel, could you address the fuel pumps a little bit later on? How can the AP run with the fuel pumps turned off? Why can't I start the engines with the fuel pumps turned off? What would happen if I turn the fuel pumps off during flight? Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that. But just to give you a quick answer, Dancy, the fuel is being suction fed. So even though there's no fuel pump running, the fuel is being suction fed. But do they do this in Brazil? Oh, they should. I mean, the authorities just pulled their AOC, so clearly they did something wrong. But there's no way for the ground crew to screw it up. There's no way for the pilots to not know how much fuel is on board, because you're doing a lot of calculations. Everybody does this, right? All airlines do this. There's no way. There's no way to screw it up. But before we go on, I do digress. Let's look at the landing, the weather in Dublin. Weather in Dublin is 7K, wind is 2607, Fiat 400. Ooh, Fiat 400, all right. 0 degrees. Ooh la la. And dew point of 0. So when the dew point and temperature is the same, ooh, could be fog. Could be some fog coming in there, and really high QNH there as well. Temporary 4 kilometers in BR, that's mist. And the forecast should be good. There's a proper forward tempo. There's going to be 4 kilometers of freezing fog. Now, guys, you're looking at the weather. We're going to look at our altnet as well, which is Prestwick. Weather in Prestwick, mwah, beautiful. Cav okay, no problem at all. Our altnet is A-okay. Problem is Dublin, 0 degrees. Forecast is fine though. Forecast is absolutely fine. This is tomorrow at 8. No, that's today. Sorry. Today's the 1st of December. What do we do? I'm thinking of becoming a flight dispatcher. What's your opinion on the market for this job? Is it in demand? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great job. It's really fun. It can be stressful though, all right? Just bear in mind, it can be stressful. You know, because it's all about minutes. If you don't dispatch those airplanes on time, like the airline is gonna have somebody's head. So it is stressful, but it is challenging and rewarding at the same time. Do you have a advent calendar? No, I did not buy one. Maybe I should have bought one. Now I'm deciding on if I'm going to take more fuel. Legally, okay, strictly speaking legally, a Prop 40 tempo, we could ignore that. We can actually ignore this whole forecast part. Because it's a Prop 40 tempo. But, because the dew point and the temperature is the same, let's go ahead and add some fuel. Now, why am I adding fuel? All right, why am I adding fuel? Is it because I want to be more safe? No. Absolutely 100% no. That is not the case. You don't add fuel to be more safe. You're either safe or you're not safe. All right, there's nothing in between. There's no more safe, right? You cannot be flying if it's not safe, 100% safe. You have to be safe. So you cannot be, well, let's be a little bit more safe. No, unacceptable. I'm taking more fuel. So Dub says, would you consider taking 20 minutes extra for holding in this situation? Chances of a go around? So Woody Waddy and Dub Aviator, yes. So why don't we take 20 minutes extra? And the reason I'm doing that is because then I can fly to Dublin. If the weather's shit, at least I can hold for 20 minutes to wait for that weather to move away. Or like Woody Waddy says, maybe it's like low vis. I mean, it is Cat 3. We can land. But if it's Cat 3 weather, maybe it's going to be a lot of traffic. Maybe it's going to be holding. Maybe we have to do a go-around. I don't know why, but what if there's a go-around? If I have that extra fuel, I can stay at Dublin a little bit longer. That just increases the probability of me landing in Dublin. But I am still 100% safe because whatever happens, I can always divert to Prestwick, which I know is fine. I know Prestwick is absolutely 100% okay to land. No doubt about it. So, but if I have 20 minutes of fuel, I can chill a bit. You know, I can pick up a hold. So that's the only reason I'm adding fuel. So let's go ahead and add 20 minutes of fuel. That's the only reason, boys. And then once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and check our NOTAMs as well, and so on. We can also have a look at the... weather is fine. Weather is fine. Excellent. All right, boys. So let's go back to our beautiful airplane. So in that case, you don't want to use alternate airport fuel. I mean, alternate airport fuel. So if I'm flying towards Dublin, right? If I'm flying towards Dublin and I know the weather is fine. Here's a tricky one, guys. Here's a tricky one. All right, pay attention. Okay, I'm gonna answer Wayne's question. All right, then we'll go ahead and move on. Because I got a question for you guys, and this is tricky, so you have to pay attention to the question. But just to answer Wayne's question, if you got headwind, the amount of fuel you're gonna burn is gonna be the same. Your fuel burn will be the same, but your ground speed will be less. So it's gonna take you a longer time to get to your destination. Thus, you're gonna burn more fuel, but your fuel burn will be the same. But let's say a flight takes 1 hour in zero wind, but if you got whatever headwind, it might take you 1 hour and 20 minutes. So then you need 1 hour and then you need an hour and 20 minutes to do the same flight. And on the other hand, if you have tailwind, the flight will be less, obviously. So no, it doesn't change the fuel burn. The fuel burn will be the same, like the rate of which the engines burn the fuel. But yeah, you're gonna need more fuel. Here's the question. All right, we're flying to Dublin. Weather is fine. Weather is fine in Dublin. Weather is fine at our alternate as well. ATC says, Ryanair, or Flight Sim 123, whatever, pick up a hold. Runways closed due to a bird strike from preceding aircraft. We need to do a runway inspection. Alright. So ATC told you to go to a hold. They've closed their runway because they're doing a bird strike inspection, they're looking for debris and all that good stuff from preceding aircraft. You took off with the minimum fuel required. So in our case, it was 5.6 tons. So if you did everything correctly, you've ended up there with, you've burned your trip. Let's say you burned your contingent as well. So what do? Do you divert to your alternate where you know the runway's open, you know everything's fine? Or do you stay at Dublin? If you stay at Dublin, you are using your alternate fuel, the fuel required to divert. Once you've done that, you can no longer divert to your alternate because you've used that fuel. So what would you guys do in this case? Don't answer just yeah. I'm gonna do a straw poll. Would you guys divert? So Dublin closed the runway. They say we Ryanair 123 runway's closed. We're gonna do a bird strike inspection. This is a really interesting question because these are challenges which captains are faced with every day on the line. This happens, quite regularly. I mean, it has happened to me many times. More than I remember, where you will be faced with a decision like this. What do you do? Do you hold? But once you've decided to hold, you can no longer divert. Or do you divert and land? Let's go ahead and look at our straw poll. And let's see what people say. Ooh la la. All right. It's like almost a third of you decided to hold. The majority of you are going to divert. Ooh, we're getting some good questions up here. Some really interesting statements. So, there are some awesome questions here. There are some really good questions. I'm gonna go ahead and deal with all these questions, and then we're gonna go ahead and come back to this. All right, let's look at the questions here. So, Dub Aviator says, if I decide to take 20 extra fuel, do you calculate the fuel amount using charts and tables on board? Or you tell the dispatcher and they work it out? No, I'll work it out myself. It's the commander's responsibility to decide how much fuel he wants. I will tell the dispatcher, this is how much fuel I want on board, and then he will relay my request to the fueler and so on. Now, Wayne says you don't have enough fuel for a hold. You will have to go to alternate. And Ridge02 says divert. If Dublin doesn't reopen, you're out of options. True. Shade says hold. Software says inspection will take 20 minutes.
Hail to the king, baby.
Trevor! Tell Dublin it's Palt H and get a move on. Yeah, hell yeah. That's the correct answer. Gold star for you, my friend. Gold star, gold star. Rich says something which is really interesting. He says, Wayne says the same thing. They say, never use your divert fuel if you're not heading to your divert field. That's what I've been taught that way. You know what, guys? I personally, and you're going to be surprised. You're going to be really surprised now. I would have held. I would have held. No, Sky, you are not stupid at all. It absolutely depends on the runway. DS Joel, yeah, that's exactly why. Yeah, I would have held. And I'm gonna address the Ridge 02 because this is really complicated. This is really complicated, these things, you know, because this is why somebody's a captain when he takes decisions like this. These are hard decisions, but you have to be safe. Now, a BA captain once told me that you can make a conscious decision to burn the ultimate fuel. Yes, it's true. So why would I hold here? It's because, of course, I have a little bit of experience. I know how long a bird strike inspection will take. And I also know Dublin has multiple runways. Even though they're crossing, I mean, they have more than one runway. I would have held. I would have held. But I am committing to Dublin. I can no longer divert, so I need to know the reason. The reason is a bird strike inspection. Fine. How long does bird strike inspection take? Bird strike inspection takes about 5 minutes, maybe. 5 minutes tops. So if I divert, I'm gonna burn way more fuel than I would have had I just stayed at Dublin. So for instance, holding is a risky business there. It cannot be risky. You cannot allow it to be risky. A bird strike inspection is not a risky. It's not risky. Even if there's debris, they will go ahead and clear that. If, for whatever reason, they close that one runway, you still have another runway. But here's the same question, but ATC says, Flight Sim 123, go around, I say again, go around, RVRs now, 75, 75, 75. Do you then hold and wait for the weather to improve, or do you divert? I'm not going to bore you guys. You 100% divert. Or, just to make it even, this one was purposely like a little bit deceiving, but to make it even easier, Ryanair, go around, let's say again, go around, vehicle on the runway. Bam, you do the go around.
Hail to the king, baby.
Dancy! Thank you so much, man. 7 months in a row. Thank you for using Twitch Prime and giving me your subscription. Go around, I say again, go around, vehicle on runway. You do the go around. FMC, using reserve fuel. Do you divert? No, you don't divert. It was a vehicle on the runway. Tell the fucking vehicle to move, and then you land again. So, but these questions are hard. Like, to be a captain is to make decisions like this, but you cannot make it unsafe. I would have diverted had I thought it was going to be unsafe. I would divert this sub. Ah, fresh, my man. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream, our very own in-house admin. Where I live, if you're into the 45 minutes of fuel, you should have as backup, and you're down to 15. You declare emergency so they can do something in not like 2 minutes. Yeah. So when do you? Okay. Let's continue with our thought experiment here. Our thought experiment. So we did the go around. And what would you then say to ATC in this case? What would the standard phraseology be? IKO standard phraseology be in this case? You do the go around, and you're into your alternate fuel. You're approaching your final reserve. What is the correct ATC phraseology to be used? Does anybody know that? Because, listen, there is phraseology for this. And all of this was because this is not the first time this accident has happened. Allegedly. Back in the, I think it was in the 90s, an American, was it? No, it wasn't American. It was the Mexican, Avianca? I don't remember. They crashed because of fuel starvation. Because they did not use, there was no phraseology for it. They said, we're low on fuel. We're running a little bit short. We really need to land now. We really need to land now. There is no... What does that mean? That's why I don't like the phrase declaring emergency. What does that mean? It means nothing. Is it a mayday call? Is it a pan call? Do you need help? What is that? So what is the standard phraseology? Wayne says, please clear the runway as soon as possible. It is now taking our alternate fuel. Yeah. Mayday, 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 request priority. It's not a mayday call. Yet. It's only a mayday call if you think you're gonna land on your final reserve. Which you're not expecting to do that just yet. But you're approaching that final reserve. Right. The standard IKO phraseology is Flight Sim 123 minimum fuel. Minimum fuel. It's not a pan call. Because you're not in an emergency. You're not in an emergency, you're not in a pan. There's nothing is going on. All that is happening is that you are approaching your final reserve, but you're not planning on using it. Nothing is happening. You take it easy, chill, relax, breathe. Look at what's going on. Look at all the information you have. What is the problem? Problem is you just picked up a hold and you have committed to Dublin. You can no longer divert. So what information do we have? Well, the information we have is runway inspection. They are clearing the runway. How much fuel do we have? Well, we can hold for about 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, because look boys, let me show you something. Where's my thing? Where's my thing? Where's the thing? Here's the thing. Alternate. Right? Come on. Don't be like that. Prestwick. 1.751. We can hold for 41 minutes before we go into our final reserve. So for 41 minutes, I can hold until they clear that runway. This is why I'm not diverting, because there is no way in hell it's going to take them 41 minutes to clear, to reopen the runway. Plus, they have multiple runways. 41 minutes. But 20 minutes later, now we're getting close, huh? One go around, we're getting close. So minimum fuel, that's the phraseology you're going to use, because you're not expecting to use the final reserve. What does minimum fuel mean? Minimum fuel means that you're not asking for any favors. You're not getting any extra priority. You're not getting any extra special treatment or anything. All it means is to convey to ATC that you are not committed to land at this airfield, and if there are any unanticipated changes to the current clearance, you might declare a mayday, or you might end up in a low fuel situation. It's just conveying to ATC that you're committed to this airfield now, and any change in clearance. So if ATC tells you, Ryanair, we're gonna reopen the runway in 20 minutes, it's fine, minimum fuel. Because if that clearance changes, or if there's any unexpected changes, you're gonna be in trouble. Minimum fuel. What would you tell the passengers though in the PA? Runway inspection. They're gonna we're gonna hold. Just hold. We're gonna hold. A lot of traffic. There's nothing. I'm not crashing an airplane or anything. Would Spanish ATC work in fast if you told them minimum fuel? I doubt it. I doubt it. So yeah, minimum fuel. The next one is gonna be Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. There is no such thing as PAN. You know, this is a Mayday call. All right, boys. So let's go ahead and get airborne. And once we get airborne, we're going to talk about the fuel system and the fuel pumps. So, where is flight plan? Then somebody asked the. Somebody have a question? Did I miss something? Oh. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I might have missed one of the questions.